magnificent morning, awesome afternoon, and wonderful evening. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and we're here to explore our minds, and my mind needs a lot of exploring today. It needs a lot of help, but I'll get through it because I have friends, and friends working together absolutely helps the growth and the development of everyone in our lives. So I always say, make a friend, make a new friend by meeting new people on Facebook. Make a new friend by going out to a dinner or whatever. Make your friends, find the ones that are aligned with you. And as you find more and more aligned friends, believe it or not, it makes life a lot easier. I have with me Nadeem, who's been really very helpful. I have Dr. Michelle. Many of you, if you've been watching the show, have met Dr. Michelle before. Actually, you've met Nadeem before. And we have Shiksha from India. Very international. We have South Asia, India, and Pakistan. And then the west coast of the United States, Dr. Michelle, and me from the East Coast. And we're all crazy people, but that's okay. Actually, that's very good. Michelle, can you take over for a tiny bit?
I would be happy to. The theme for today is friendship. And friendship is an important part of the work that I do when I'm working with people around grief and loss. Generally, the loss has to do with the loss of a significant relationship. A best friend, a lover, somebody who is really important. And part of the healing is restoring relationships. Oftentimes, if I'm working with somebody who's been in a couple relationship for a long time, they've let a lot of other friendships sort of drift away. Therefore, getting back into that relationship with other people can be a challenge. And I divide friendship up into two categories. One is associates, people that we associate with. Maybe we meet them when we're working out at a gym, or we meet them at a Toastmasters meeting. And then there are friendships that are bonds. These are deeper relationships. And what's the difference between an association or connection and a bond? Part of it is time, simply the amount of time that you put into your connection. The more time and the more revealing you are about who you really are, the deeper the friendship becomes. So how do you do that? Well, you have to start out with associations, with connections. You have to go out and put yourself out there, just like Carla said. You make new friends by going places. And now, since the whole pandemic, it's been harder than ever because we don't associate. We don't go out as much as we used to. At least I don't. And it's not as easy to make friends on this artificial Zoom reality. You meet people, but it isn't the same as being person to person. Wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't you agree with me, Shiksha? Do you find it hard to make friends with people on Zoom, Shiksha?
I guess for last 3 years, I made more friends than what I made in last 50 years.
Really? Interesting.
Otherwise, Carla and Michelle and Nadeem would not have been with us today.
Ah, okay.
Different part of the world, different topics almost every day. For last 1,000 days, really every day I have got some video posted onto my YouTube. Just I
Wow.
finished a meeting with somebody who is in Bahrain, whom I never met.
Wow.
Whom I never met, but we were discussing about some projects which we could implement there.
Well, I totally agree with you about that this Zoom reality has enabled me to meet people all over the world in a way that I never would have. Connections, much greater connections. But connections are not the same as a bonding, close, real friendship. And that's the subject today, is what do we mean by a real deep friendship? And for me, that means somebody that I can turn to when I have trouble in my life, that I can share my joys and my challenges. And I won't worry about being judged or found inadequate. That for me is a real friendship. What about you, Nadeem? What does friendship mean to you?
Yeah, it's friendship. According to me, it's not about who you have known the longest. It's about who walked into your life and said, "Hey, hi, I'm here for you." And then he proved it, not just saying that I'm here for you. And after that, he proved it. So it's not about that how long you know somebody. It's also depends on how he helps you out. When the times comes, he's backing with you, he's backing up to you. And when the times is tough, he sit with you and you have one shoulder to cry on, lay on. And there are so many things that true friendship can do. So this is my concept on the friendship.
I agree with you. That is what defines for me a true friendship, is that I can turn to that person when I'm and feel comfortable turning to them and asking them in the last moment and expecting that they're going to come through. Now, it's interesting. I remember a story about a dancer that I knew, and she had to go in for some kind of mass that was on her uterus. And she went into to the hospital, and she expected this one woman to be her close friend and be there for her, and she wasn't. And she said, "Well, it was such a shock. I had really thought she was my close friend, and yet it turns out that it just rearranged your sense of what the friendship is." And that's kind of the litmus test of a close friendship, is when somebody really shows up and is there for you. But that doesn't mean you have to jetson the others, the people that don't show up. They just become friends at a different level. In my scheme of things, we have many people in our community, and all of them are necessary for some reason or another. And the ones that are deepest are the ones in which those friendships where we can be completely who we really are. So, Shiksha, what do you have to say about friendship? What are your experiences?
I was just looking at one of my poetry book, in which Life of Love, in which one of the poem is "I need someone."
Yes.
And in which the last few lines, "I need someone to keep me company and be with me forever in happiness and sadness too." I think we have a lot of people who are in company with us for different purposes. But rarely we see somebody who the association, the company extends for longer time. And we can meet them. The other day I was in Saudi Arabia and I met one of the principals of one of those schools, whom I never met. I was just meeting on the first time. But she felt that I am with her for long years. Because there was a big tragedy at home. It was me who gave some few words of console. So she was mentioning it to many of her friends and saying, "You were all there, but he made large difference and few words which really impacted my life."
Wow.
So sometimes it's how you deal with people And you don't have to keep them for longer time. As Hamid was telling, Nadeem was telling, you don't have to keep them for longer time. It could be very short. But when you meet next time, you feel as if you were there with them or they were with you all throughout your life. And no complaints. We accept them as they are.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we should not ask them why you did not talk to me. Actually, we should ask ourselves why I did not talk to them. Right?
So you made a good point, because part of friendship is having contact with people, that the more contact you have with them, the more you develop that connection, not just mentally, but I think energetically as well. Your body becomes used to that other person and you get accustomed to seeing them. So the more time you spend, of course, quality always makes a difference, but time is also an important factor. How much time do you spend? In this COVID pandemic, when we were locked down, who were the people that you sought out to see and made the effort to see, as opposed to who were those you haven't seen in 3 years?
There were many instances. Many instances where probably I did not travel out of Hyderabad. I couldn't meet most of my friends, but I'm sure we are still in contact. We must thank the facility of seeing them, connecting them, talking to them on WhatsApp or maybe on Zoom or Gmeet. We used to have our old colleagues alumni meet, but we have done it online. So it's as if we are talking to them the time when we were colleagues in the same mood, the same style, we could speak to them. So I think the quality matters.
It does. The quality does matter, but also the time. You have to do it. Of course, if there's somebody that you've known from childhood or maybe school that you had a close relationship with, that holds a lot of weight and grounds the relationship. But I think that it's both quality and time. If somebody is important to you, you're going to make time because you want them in your life. You want to include them.
I was, yeah. Carla, yes.
Go
yeah.
on.
I have a fun of looking at old proverbs. And there is a good proverb which I wanted to rewrite, which says familiarity breeds contempt. So I keep saying it is not familiarity breeds contempt. The familiarity breeds love.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Or contempt if it turns out that you really are not suited for each other. So it is the defining test of whether somebody is going to be close to you and enjoy your company or not.
Yeah, I'll add one thing more here, that we're talking about the longer friendship. So how we are going to know that, okay, for this person, I'm going to be a very long friendship. This friendship is going to very long. So how we are going to judge that? In my perspective or in my view, if we see some common goals, like for example, if I'm seeing myself in 10 years that, okay, I want to build some business in IT, and if I find some other person, crazy person like me, that okay, he also wants the same goal, then that friendship maybe go longer.
For sure.
If we have the common goals.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, Carla.
What everyone's saying is very true. It made me think of in my own life. I had a friend show up who I never thought would be a friend. You know, we had a Skype call shortly after we met, and that person literally is responsible for all the live shows I do.
Wow.
Beginning of the English show, MindPlore. Well, he wasn't involved with MindPlore, but it helped develop MindPlore from the contacts that I made during this whole time. So I heard people say, Well, online friends are not always friends. And I do agree with that. I have plenty of online friends who I don't know if I would go out and even have a cup of coffee with. Not meaning to put them down, but there's nothing drawing me to that. Whereas this person got me doing so much of what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
And
no,
it
that
all
would be.
started, we did meet in person and we still meet in person, but it all happened because of being online. So when you're talking about a friend, and I remember, and I've also argued with him several times about this, because I said, real friends aren't just Facebook friends, but that's not necessarily true. And I think there are different types and levels of friendship. And of course, this friendship is at a very high level, but some of the people I had been friendly with where I live now, I kind of dropped off because I'm changing my mindset from I cannot to I can. And hearing all my life people saying, you cannot, you cannot, you cannot, to saying, oh, I'm glad you think that way. Stay away from me because I'm going to say I can. I'm not saying it to them, but I see that change happening. And I think it's a very big reality that we sometimes forget because we think, oh, we're online. Those people aren't real. They're just screen friends. But that's not necessarily always the case. Michelle, you've been moving and nodding, and what do you want to say?
No, I just agree with what you say. It's very interesting how we develop relationships. And a lot of it has to do with commonality. There's also a synchronicity or a commonality in which when you're around somebody that you're in sync with, that you really enjoy, that you actually support each other's development, that you are excited, and they excite you, you excite them. And so there's almost this fire built up between you that just makes you, both of you, better than you would be alone. And that's what I call true friendship, is when you inspire each other, that you take each other to that farther place that maybe you would never get by yourself.
And actually, that person, I remember being in a car with the person, and he was visiting the city, and first thing he said to me when he got into the car that day and he was driving, he said, let's make a pact and always be there to help each other.
Wow.
And although there's been and it was to make each other better human beings. And I said, yeah, let's do that. But now I look back on all the people I've come across, and I realize that's a true friend. And we may have our fights, the good friends you can yell at and scream at for a tiny bit. And then, it's over and you move forward. The not so true friends, you may be yelling and screaming for some weird reason, just totally overwhelmed, and they walk away. But it's those who stay who really become the real friends. Okay, Michelle.
Well, good story. So I was curious, Nadeem, do you have a story that you want to share about a close friendship or the development of a close friendship or a friendship that was surprising to you?
Yeah, so you see, the friendship, sometimes they serve you as a source of guidance and mentorship, right? They will help you to grow yourself. So if I look back into my education system in my early ages, when we are in school, and we have I used to study alone, but at that time, when I always very specific subject, mathematics, when I always study alone, I didn't get any out of it, good result out of it. But when I start making friends, and one specific friend which I made at my early age, and I start group study with him, that difficult thing become easy for me. And with group study, and with, you see, if we have common goal, which I told you earlier, that at that time we both have a common goal, that we have to be successful in this subject. So with two like-minded people, will have more thoughts on that. So this is the thing that which make me more comfortable and give me more growth on this.
Well, you kind of brought up an interesting thought in my head about the gender difference, that the kind of people that maybe a woman feels close to might be different from a man. That for men, it's like, we have a common goal. We have something we want to work on together, which in a sense does the same thing that Carla was talking about, that you actually inspire each other, and you work together, and you create something bigger than you might have created on your own. So that's what I'm getting from you. But I think there's also for women this sense of closeness of the heart, of feeling love for the other person, of genuinely having your heart expand when you see that person, that you're so joyous to see them and to connect with them and to do things with them. How about you, Shiksha? Shiksha, is that how you pronounce your name? Sorry, I better get it right.
Yeah. I think friendship is not with a purpose, not with a goal. It could be, for some people, it could be like that. But I think a real friendship is without any specific reason. I need not have any reason to keep my primary classmate for last 50 years. He is not in the field where I am. I'm basically a scientist. I'm a mathematician. I'm a teacher. I keep meeting every day. At least 10 people contact me for counseling, talking to them, understanding their subject. Few of them will become friends overnight. So actually, it could be a physical, seeing somebody, we feel, oh, this person is known to me for a long time, for no reason. So there is a physical rhythm, biorhythm. There is a frequency in which all of us can match each other. So we get attracted to somebody, or maybe sometime I'm traveling in a bus and somebody comes and sits close to me. I feel, oh, he should not have been with me for no reason. That is because we have a biorhythm which doesn't match each other.
Nice.
Physical matching, probably looking at somebody, I feel, oh, attracted. I feel talking to them. I go for a mile extra for talking to them, getting introduced. All that is possible. And nothing. I know only he is there and I am here. So I want to talk to them. That's it. So it's just a physical. It could be small children to elderly people. It's not because gender difference or maybe age difference. We feel like talking to them. That's it. And second could be like just now Nashli was telling, it's an emotional frequency. So I have an emotional frequency which exactly matches with someone. We feel like talking to them when I'm in real trouble. So it doesn't happen to everyone. The emotional biorhythm has to be matched so that they feel relaxed when I am with them for no reason. Actually, I am not greater, they are not lower, but they feel comfortable, or I may feel comfortable going to somebody, right? And the other one, like Nadeem is telling, it's like an intellectual. I have a goal, I have something to study. So there is an intellectual frequency which matches. So I love mathematics. There is somebody else who loves mathematics. So let us sit together. That doesn't have any emotional bondage. That I may not like him by look, but he is a great maths teacher, so I love him. That's it. So it's only an intellectual match. And another one is a social match. We work in same politics. So I have to be with my leader. I have to be with my subordinate. I'm in an office. I run an organization. So it's like a social bondage which we create. And there is a friendship for a purpose. Nothing great. And probably, I think we get matched with, most of us get matched at the highest level, which is at the spiritual level. So if the spiritual level, when we match us, it doesn't matter physical. He doesn't look very great. But I still love him. That's because there is some match which happens. It is not that he gave a great compassion to me, but there is something in him which has not come out, and I'm sure it is going to come after some time. So we will wait for a long time, right? And intellectually, he is not a mathematician, but he will tell me how to solve maths. So it is not because he has got great knowledge. It is not that he is working with me for a social cause. So I'm a spiritual master from Himalayan tradition from India. So we believe people come to us because we have got an aura which gets attracted to people, and then they come to us. So it goes beyond the physical, emotional, intellectual, and social, right? So that, without any condition, without filtering, I can use words like Carla was telling, I can yell at somebody, I can scold somebody, but still they love me so much because they know, oh, this person is with me. So it's not emotional perturbance which creates enmity. I think all other relationship, we have to be very careful in using words. But in real friendship, there is no filtering of words. I can speak the way I think, and the other person understands it. Maybe they will also speak the other way, but next moment we can hug each other and say, I love you and love you. That's it. Right. So friendship is a much bigger, wider spectrum than all other relationships. That's what I believe.
Shiksha, I love the way in which you divided out the different ways in which we relate, whether we relate on a physical, energetic level, or an intellectual level, or a social level, or a spiritual level. I love that idea, and I totally relate to what you're saying. And of course, I'm feeling that attraction to you because you see the world very similar to me. And I like your ideas, and I say, oh, wow, I could learn more from this. So that is part of that attraction that you're talking about. That is, so it's kind of an intellectual attraction. And so I wouldn't know more than that because we're not seeing each other physically. I don't know. Can you feel an energetic attraction over Zoom? Can you feel that?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Awesome.
You can look at people and then feel, this person is close to me, or this person is going to come to me after some time. It happens.
Interesting. So it brings to mind another question I have around friendship, and that is stretching our comfort zone. That sometimes I think a lot of discrimination comes from choosing to be around people that we feel are most like ourselves. And when somebody is different, that we don't feel comfortable with them, instead of learning or even being taught to stretch ourselves to open to people who are different from ourselves, to take that moment and see, oh, maybe they have something that I need to connect with as well.
I have a point. I have a story there too.
Excellent.
When I was very young, I was very lucky because I lived in a very multicultural environment, all different religions, although we used to live in a very Jewish neighborhood. But I moved when I was 2, and I began to know about Christmas and the different holidays, and going and getting a candy cane from my neighbor's Christmas tree and things like that. But I knew very little about Muslims. And I had, because of 9/11, I had this whole thing that Muslims are terrorists, and they all are. Until this particular friend found me. And all of a sudden, I never expected I'd be doing the English show, but I was doing the English show. and I was meeting Muslims and all kinds of people from all over the world. So that which I was really afraid of at one point became my reality. I actually ended up dropping some friends and said, "You can't talk to Muslims, they're terrorists." I said, "No." And, I talked to them for a while, and then I kept on hearing that, and I knew it was crazy. So in cultivating friendships, we also need to be cultivating an opening of our minds so we can meet new people and we don't mind. And I remember once, and it was in the very beginning of my relationship, there was and I'm definitely not a Republican, but there was a guy who was a friend of this person. Not that that person, well, that doesn't matter. And we talked for a few moments, and he was definitely big Republican and Muslim. And I went back to my friend and I said, "Wait a minute, how can I talk to this person? We're total backgrounds, different backgrounds." And I remember him saying, "I thought you were here to learn and not make judgments." And it turned out I did talk to the person. I never went live with him. That never happened. But I learned to open up my mind so I can talk to different people. And that is an extremely important thing that's happening for all of us. And it's happening more so because we're online. Michelle?
Well,
I'm really putting you in charge.
Well, you can count on me, Carla, for that. I can do that. Yeah. So what you say is important. How do we open ourselves up to new ways and new associations so that we can expand our thinking? Because that's what we need in this world right now, is the capacity to connect with more people and stop seeing them as other or wrong or dangerous, but to open to the possibility of them as being other human beings. That doesn't mean that all of them are going to be good for us or that they're going to be our friend. However, I believe it is our time to open up and to entertain the possibility of understanding somebody else's point of view. That is going to be our salvation. Understanding that at the human level, we are all the same. As I said, that's not the same thing as friendship, but I think it's our challenge right now. So how about you, Shiksha or Nadeem? Do you agree with that idea of opening yourself up to meeting people who are new that maybe even challenge your ideas?
Yes, Michelle, that's very important. We need to open up with new people, with new guys, and whatever the religion or whatever the race, whatever it is, we should talk to them. We don't know, maybe if we talk to any, like now, if I talk to Michelle, I talk to Shiksha, and I talk to Carla, who knows, that will become good friends. So we always try to keep pushing ourselves to. It's our human nature that we don't allow ourselves to go out from our comfort zone. This is the problem, that whenever we are seeing any person which is not like-minded with us, we avoid to talk with them. But this is the boundary we need to cross. And also for Mr. Shiksha, I need to discuss one thing that he discussed about aura, physical aura. Every person have physical aura around him. Whenever he goes somewhere, a physical aura, and he will attract those people around him. So now you see everything is virtual. So this concept also applies on virtual, like this Zoom meeting, and these things are physically, you need to be present there. So Shiksha, if you guide us on this, then it will be better.
I don't know whether I can guide you on that. It all matters. You don't require to see people, meet people. The presence is felt. Actually, you understand this person is important to me. You create an image of that person in your heart. So the space of that person is in your heart. Whether you physically meet him or not, it doesn't matter. Because you are opening a space in your heart for that person who probably you have met only once, either virtually also is fantastic. How does it matter? I've got a lot of my friends whom I never met. When they are struggling in war, they came out for help. And we had collected people around to help them out. I don't think they came because they know me personally. They had a trust. I think once we open up our space in our heart, people can come inside us and then we can talk to each other. But the problem is in the friendship sometime, earlier Michelle was talking about comfort zone. So sometimes we go beyond the comfort zone. It becomes so uncomfortable. And some people get so much of, it is not attachment. Attachment is a good word. I must have attachment to XYZ because I am a human being. I love human beings. I am a social being. So I love to create a society whom I can interact. But if that becomes a bondage, and sometimes the relationship like a friendship becomes a big bondage, some people are not able to get out of them. The basic reason is we need to find the relationship in friendship where people are important. It is not the friendship is important. It is the people who are important. So we should not try to tag with the people who are not important and then get a bondage where you will be suffering later. And who are the people who will really suffer where they have not found a place for themselves? Being alone is important. Having a comfort zone in your own self is very, very important. And you don't have time for you, and you always look for somebody else to be part of your life. I think you are bounded by uncomfortable zone, not a comfortable zone. So create your own space, have control on your space, and then extend it, expand it to as many people as you want. Then you will get a lot of space for others to get into your heart, is what I feel.
Shiksha, I really like what you said, and you started or kind of answered what was my next question, which was, when do we need to be discerning? When do we need to say, oh, this person is not right for me because they are too upset or they're too negative, and life's too short. I don't need to take that energy in so much. Maybe you don't completely eliminate them, but you cut down on the amount of time that you have with them. And the other thing that you brought in that I hadn't thought about, but of course makes total sense, is where you are as a person and whether you can open up to other people without them throwing you off. If you're desperately approval from somebody, you set yourself up for being judged, for being disappointed, for being hurt. And when we work on ourselves so that we become comfortable being alone, become comfortable being who we are, then we can come to a relationship in a different place. And Shiksha, the best way I know how to do that, there's all this psychology and coaching and all that sort of stuff. But for me, the best thing I know is to do my spiritual practice. That's when I am most comfortable about who I am and able to open to other people.
It's so important to open to others. I mean, really here, none of us are alike. We're very different. But look how this conversation is growing and moving. It's moving in harmony. And trust me, I had no idea what was going to happen when I brought the four of us together. I was a little concerned, but I thought, I don't have time to be concerned. There's too many things going on. But life kind of presents us with the right people at the right time and at the right moment, whether we realize it or not. Nadeem? Okay. And
I totally agree with you, Carla, about that, because when you operate from a place of spirit, you know that there's nothing really terrible that's going to happen to you. I mean, death is the worst thing, and that's not so bad, because then you go on to the next phase.
Right.
When you understand that anything that comes in, any person that comes into your sphere may have some kind of message for you, something that they are here to communicate with you, then you can relax and you don't have to worry too much. But it is natural, biologically natural, for us to be fearful and to be careful about people until we know them. It's natural. It's like it's wired into these bodies to be that way, because on an evolutionary plane, the lower animals, they had to decide who was friend and who was predator, who was going to gobble them up, right? And so they had to find ways to decide, is this somebody safe or not safe? And then, of course, nature is full of all these mechanisms for deceiving as well. And human beings are capable of deceiving on grandiose levels. Years ago, when I was working on my master's thesis, a whole bunch of graduate students and I went to Indianapolis to do a survey. And we were doing a survey about, in criminology, about people's responses to different kinds of crime. And what was surprising to me was that the biggest, the most out of the ordinary reaction, well, I guess it wasn't so ordinary, was in cases of fraud. That is, that the punitive response of my respondents was much greater than what is actually on the books out there in law, that we hate to be deceived. It makes sense, because we want to trust. And in fact, our community and our relationships depends on trust. And when you violate a trust, it is a huge breach of the rules of society. So I wonder, Shiksha, if you have some comments about that. You know, it's like we want to trust, and of course, spiritually, it doesn't matter, because we're going to connect and we're going to learn from that person regardless. Maybe something good, it may be something that we need to learn right now. But also, we hate to be deceived.
You were mentioning about Indianapolis. I was there in Indiana State in Columbus.
Oh, were you? Oh, cool.
And 6 months. And I made a friendship with the priest there. And then one day, Sunday service was by me. And people accepted so well. I connected with different religious people, different activities. I did a ethnic expo, a song from India, 6 different languages. I taught the local community people there. So I'm sure if I don't initiate such a program, I would not have made that many friends. So I guess a real friendship should not be a mere friendship. A real friendship should have some outcome, some commonality, which we share, work for a cause. I'm sure everybody who comes up for a Sunday prayer will become friends, right? Maybe I'm going for a music show, somebody is sitting beside me, I'll share the same spirit. So that is one activity creation with different people gave me more number of friends than those people who are staying there for last 30, 40 years.
Nice,
right?
Nice.
So I think social being should be somebody who get into different activities, different programs, get involved, so that without boundaries you can work. It is not that Sri Lankan problem is not my problem. So there was a prayer for a Sri Lankan problem. I was there. So different communities will come together for a different cause. You be part of it. So that is where sharing, caring, loving, which creates a commonality. You cannot be away from the society and say, oh, I want to make friends. So it's involving in the society, involving in activities, which will give you a lot of friends. It is not that what happened in 2019 for last 4 years, they are in contact with me. But I'm sure when I go back next time, all of them will be with me again.
Yes, that's
It
the
also matters culture. Sometimes I have been to west, to east, to different portion of the world. So each people have different style of reacting, responding. The cultural difference is there. So if you know how to accommodate them and be with them, I'm sure it will run for long time. We can create happiness inside others. Happiness inside others. That's more important. So they will remember you for long.
Nice. Nadeem, I haven't heard from you lately. What do you think? I see you shaking your head, so I think that maybe you have something to share.
Yeah, this I will just furthermore add few points about expressing ourselves. We need to express ourselves to others so that we can listen themselves as well. But for that, we need to be self-aware. There should be a self-awareness of us. We should know that what things we are liking, what things we are dislike. Like Mr. Shiksha said, that we need to help others. To help others, first we need to help ourselves. First, we need to find out what we are, what truly we believe in, and what things we are going to do. That for that, I think Mr. Shiksha can guide us on that how we are going to self-aware ourselves and how we are going to find out our true potential and how we are going to support other people to find their potential.
Well, and Nadeem, it's also a work in progress, isn't it? That you can't just wait until you figure out who you are. Yeah. Connecting with other people is one of the ways that you do figure out who you are, that you try out who you are and see what comes back and learn from the eyes of other people. So good point. Good point. Yes, Carla.
Very important point. A few years, again, I'm going back in my life and telling stories, but this brought up a story. A few years ago, actually, when I adopted my dog, Bodhi, rest in peace now, that I made a friend with the person who took care of him when I was away. And she was very, very Jewish. She got me going to synagogue. It lasted maybe it lasted a year because I finished the Hebrew school that year. And then it dropped away. The friendship is a funny one too, because if I would say, hey, that's a beautiful blue sky, she'd say, oh no, it's green or it's purple. She couldn't agree on anything. Now, I really like the lady, but I have to be careful when I'm around her because of that. And I think that happens in life all the time. Because of certain things, we need to be able to say, yes, no, maybe, I would love to have you around, but I'm not interested in purple moons right now. I prefer the normal white, beautiful, silvery white moon. And it hasn't turned purple, at least not since I've known it. But this happens all the time where you meet someone and for a short while, boy, I was going to synagogue every Friday night and Saturday, and I was really into it. And then I saw slowly it began to drop away. And that happens with all types of friendships. Not all types, but I'm saying different types of friendships. Where for a while, because of this is where you are in your life's journey, this is where you need to be. But then something happens and there's a little twist or turn, and we move into another direction. And it's very interesting to see that and watch it happen, because it has nothing to do with the people we know or who we should know and whether the numbers are angel numbers or any other type of number. It has no meaning there. It's just our journey in life, and everyone's journey is slightly different. We meet, we walk parallel for a while, and then we may continue walking that path, or we may twist and turn to a different path.
Well, I totally agree with you about that, Carla. Yeah, we start in some places and we have a friendship with somebody for a while because it feels right, or the circumstances are such that they're there and you're there and you spend time, and then maybe they start feeling uncomfortable, or you meet somebody else and we only have so much time and we have a lot of things that we have to do just to survive, to take care of living, the other associates and business and work. Where do you put your time? Will you put your time with people that feel comfortable, that when you spend time with them, you get a benefit out of it? Which brings to mind one of the things that I thought about is those people who drain your energy, to be aware of those people that drain your energy and maybe limit the amount of time that you spend with people, because life is for being enjoyed, and you want to be with people who are uplifting, that inspire you to be your best self, and not waste your time with people who leave you feeling frustrated or angry or irritated. Am I right? What do you think about that? Do you think you should be hanging out with people that leave you feeling irritated?
If someone irritates me, and I've seen myself do this more and more recently, goodbye for a while. And it may not only be for a while, it may be a little more permanent. There's a whole group of people who I used to hang out with all the time. I don't even go near them now. And it's very strange because they were, that's why I've stayed in the area that I've stayed in. That it's no longer there. Shiksha, you look like you're thinking.
Yeah, I have got another 2 lines from another poetry which says, we become one. Rather than be two on one single road, we decided to be one on 2 separate roads. And we become part of each other's story. So I don't think we need to have company when we are uncomfortable.
Right.
And we can choose friendship like a buffet. You keep tasting and then I don't find any interest. I don't go to the same counter once again. Right? We spend more time with the counter where we really have something which is tastier.
I love that analogy. Beautiful.
World has got a lot of opportunities. I think it's not one single person where I have to hold and then say, oh, I lost my friend. I keep saying when somebody says I lost my friend, plenty of them are out, right? You can choose anyone from out. So I don't think we need to be worried about choosing friends and then becoming bounded. We also keep growing. So it's not the same friends we had in the childhood is there with us now. So the growth paths, physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, we keep looking at different options and then choose what is with us for a long time for different reasons. That's what I'm saying. Good. We had a wonderful time. So
Absolutely. So another thing, actually, I have to leave. So one of the
Yeah.
other,
Well,
should
I
we
don't want
summarize?
closing
Yeah.
remarks because I know you need to go.
Thank you.
Anyway, I thought it was Thursday instead of Tuesday. Go on.
It's a whole new calendar.
My brain isn't working as well today. It's normal. Go on.
so nice. By mistake, also somebody gets in, and then we make a good relationship, good friendship, good discussions, right? So it's not just you.
Well, Shiksha, I really enjoyed spending time with you today. I enjoyed a lot of what you said and found a common energy between us. So I'm really glad that I came on the show today. And Nadeem, I liked the ideas that you brought forth. And I wonder if you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with the group.
Yeah, final thought is all the conclusion which I can conclude is that be self-aware, like we are discussing that we need to try find out, need to meet new people. Instead of that, why we are not going to be self-aware ourselves, that what things we like and we don't like, and why we can't bring out that things on the table. And when we are going to find a friend, why at the first place, why we are not going to find those things with them. So if we take this step on very beginning, then might be we can avoid these things, bad friendship. This is my thought, maybe.
Thank you very much. And Shiksha, do you have any final? I mean, I love your quotes and your readings and your thoughts. Is there anything final that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
I think let us all be friends for long.
Thank you. Thank you. And my final thought are, life is an adventure. Enjoy everything. Even the difficult has something valuable for you. And yes, it's okay to have discernment and decide where you're going to spend your time. Carla, back to you.
Thank you. And I'm very happy with all of you today. Thank you so very much. But this is what makes a friendship. As I said in the beginning, I had no idea where this was going to go or even how it would work. But I took the magic that came to me to get you guys together and see where it went. And it was really a very, very beautiful and wonderful conversation. And it helped me look at friendship a little differently from how I have in the past. Because I hear someone say, I've had this friend since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. In our world, that's like a baby, and you've been friends forever and ever and ever. And I kind of looked at my friends and they have changed through the years. I've never gone back to someone I've been around since I was that young. So friendship to me is a growing process that goes through a river. And as the river turns and turns, friends change. And we all grow together.
Very well said. It's so true, Carla. Anyway, I do have to go because I have another appointment that I have to get ready for.
Can I close the show and then
yes.
and look in your message box, please? Not now.
No, I want to get your YouTube link so I can share this with other.
Oh, it's all on here.
I know. I'm taking the time to do it. Sorry, it's a little late.
No, that's fine. I don't care when you do it.
Okay.
Very late in things today. This has been a wonderful show about friendship, and also a wonderful example of friendship and how it works. And we never know where our friends are going to take us in the twists and turns of life, but somehow they'll take us where we need to be. And with that, can we wave goodbye? And we'll be back on Thursday. I have no idea with whom, but we'll be back on Thursday. Have a great day, people, and it's nice knowing you.